All right, if I may please have your attention, it is 11 o'clock, probably everywhere by now. So what I'm going to do is call the meeting to order. And we're going to take a moment and acknowledge the presence of the Holy Spirit in our deliberations. And I hate to impose on y'all, but Mayor, would you take us into a moment of prayer?
Be happy to. As my mother used to say, if there was ever a time we needed prayer, we need it now. Of course, we always have needed it, but we sure do need it now in America. Let's bow. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day that you've given us. We thank you for being able to come together to talk about the business of your people in this community, while others are suffering in other communities and around the world from tragic events that have occurred due to hate and various other things. We ask that you would calm the minds and the spirit of people in America so that they would do the right thing toward their neighbor and toward others. Be with us in this meeting is our prayer. Guide our minds, guide our thoughts, and guide our tongues is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And thanks to each of you for coming out again on this bright Monday morning. I do want to invite you to take a look at our call meeting agenda. We have some items that we want to review. Our personnel policy has been under the watch, and we have done some work on it, significant work on it. We want to commend the staff for the presentation. We have job descriptions, and then we'll go into our executive session. The first item is the personnel policy. But before we go into the personnel policy, we all attended the annual meeting for MEAG last week, and each of us had different sessions and different assignments. And is there anyone who would like to share anything from the MEAG annual meeting at this time and give you that privilege?
Well, I'll be very brief.
Okay.
In that I really enjoyed the sessions, and this time they had a session again on economic development and some of the trends that would be occurring in the future. And I felt that it was very informative, and it was wonderful to hear about what others are doing, but also maybe some of those ideas we can take and use them in our own city. Okay. So I just appreciate the opportunity to be in the meetings and at the session.
I think I attended the same session that Linda did, but a new perspective on economic development. I always enjoy Daryl Ingram's presentation about, as she said, about the trends in economic development. One of the good things is that Daryl and Lonnie Smallwood in Electric Cities of Georgia, whenever there are prospects that are looking for a community, they are the ones that's involved and will put us on the radar. And I kind of like that. Daryl and I are going to have a conversation sometime today about something else too that he told me he had me some information on. And so I think it was good. It was good to go and network. The other thing that I know and got a chance to check with others, when I looked on the attendee list and saw so many council members and mayors and that kind of thing there, I said, wait a minute, so I got around as I networked to find out how they were structured. A lot of them are structured. I think we're almost unique. We're almost unique in that we have a commission that's separate from council. And that's one of the things that I think we're working on for over the years. It's kind of been that way. But we are almost unique. Down in Albany, Dorothy Hubbard is the mayor of Albany, but she's the chair of the commission. And there are several council members appointed to the commission. And there are other cities that function that same way. So we're kind of unique, and we search for unique ways to exist and be peaceful with it. Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Okay. Commissioner Day.
Well, I too attended a concurrent session on economic trends at the same time that the one that you two attended, because I think economic development is such an important issue for us to consider. And as the mayor said, there were people from the cities, plenty of people there from the cities, as well as utility people. And this one did a good job of balancing its attention between the cities and commissions. And I just made a few notes that I thought would be interesting to share. The name of that session was Economic Trends in the Current Interest Rate Environment. And we've had a lot of discussion on interest rates lately. And so I was particularly interested in that portion of it as well. The presenter was a gentleman from Moody's, which is I don't know what you call it actually. They rate utilities and cities based on how their economic standing looks. And it's extremely important, he said, Sue attended the same one that I did, for cities to be in good economic health and for the utilities to be in good economic health. So that I did not realize. I know it's important for us to be healthy for ourselves, but it's also important for us to be healthy as cities and utility providers for overall the NEAG overall. And our ratings can drop. They rate each utility and each city apparently as to its economic health, and then that affects in turn MEAG's rating. Right now MEAG has a good rating, and they were saying that they really do watch it, and they gave us some handouts that we can judge. And I didn't know how really to look at those handouts, but I thought I knew you would, and so I brought those so you could. They advised us to find our place on this handout as far as the amount of money that we have on hand, what our debt is, and that kind of thing. And he said you can, for yourself, determine the health of your utility. And also this particular handout is one that's going to be replaced very quickly by an updated one. So perhaps it would be better to wait for the updated one, but we definitely want to get a hold of that and look at ourselves and see how we stack up.
Ms. Beckler, do you have that person's name?
I do. It's on the handout.
I know several of those guys, that's what I'm saying.
You know what? I took that stuff out. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
even
okay.
have a
I can
handout
find
with
that
me. I
out.
took it out to put this packet in, but I'll get it for you. He was one of the important folks from Moody's. He mentioned that transfers to cities are negative to Moody. They particularly notice the transfers that the utilities transfer to the city. I think. I think that is one way that we are in really good shape, because our transfers are done through the franchise fee. So it's not, I mean, it's something that could be budgeted, it's something that the cities can count on, and it's something that the utilities can count on as well. Nobody is surprised by that. So that's what I took. Did you see that where transfers to cities are negative, in our case, because we do our transfers through a franchise fee, we're in good shape there. The guy was saying, as an example of how bad transfers can look, that, and I found out the name of this town. I don't know if I should say it or not, but it's a significant town, not in Georgia. It's one in northern Florida. That a utility was asked to take over the responsibility of the city's whole retirement program. And Moody's had a fit about that, and we're talking about how awful that was for that particular city, and for the rating that they would get, and in turn how that rating would affect MEAG's rating. Moody's is over, I mean, it's not associated with MEAG, it just watches MEAG. But they said, thank goodness that they found another way to handle that situation so that that is not going to take place. But this was a very large city, and it would have significantly affected that city as well as MEAG's rating if that had happened. They said, and I congratulate our administration, that a fuel cost adjustment needs to be built into rates, and ours is, so especially our gas rates. The rates of our gas depend, I mean, it's very much affected by how much the fuel costs are. And I don't know, we may need to look at some others if we don't, but I think even all of ours is, you consider our costs consider our costs when we're talking about rates. For municipals who were there, the gentleman advised them that they need to have debt service in their reserves. I know that the Utility Commission does. When we prepare the budget, we have our debt service is budgeted. And I don't know about the city. I assume it might be, but I wrote it down just so I could share it, because they said it was important for municipals. And I had a question here, because I wanted to make sure that I understood that. They said that there was a need for risk management reserve in place. And it said that there were some good models around the country that can be looked up, and they mentioned 3. One was the Missouri Basin, one was Gainesville, Florida, and one was San Antonio. And they said that, if you need some help there about reserving for risk management, that those would be good ones to look into. And he also offered himself as a possible resource for help. And I assume that means municipals as well as utilities, that risk management reserves need to be in place. But anyway, that's a brief synopsis, and I thought it was really a good.
I think all of the sessions were extremely well placed for all of us, everything that we attended. Any other commissioner with anything else, or any other participant in the workshop or in the meeting with anything to add. Everybody's fine? All right, we all made A's, didn't we? Okay. And the session that y'all specifically assigned me was the election. And I want you to know that we did that in a short turnaround. Everybody was happy with the election. Craig and I were there, and we're happy with the elections too. It's a quick and easy process, and it allowed us to get on and join the rest of you in the other meetings. And I enjoyed every minute of the meeting, as well as learned something new. Again and again, they proved themselves to be the best place for us to go annually. All right, thank you for sharing, and thank you for participating, and we'll just put all of this good information to work in our city, make it happen. The next item on our agenda is the personnel policy. The Utility Commission staff has requested approval to do an update. Any further updates from any of the commissioners? Our attorney has a copy of it for review. Any other updates from the staff?
Not from the staff.
None from the staff, okay. Shall we take a vote today? I think we're in a position to take a vote today because we haven't I didn't find any hiccups. We've reviewed it. No one else found any hiccups. Mayor?
I want to ask for clarity. Page 14 on the policy, just for clarity, it's not anything negative again, but it says the commission will support employees absent from work on extended level by holding their current position or another equivalent position, and it says open for them, it will remain open from them for a reasonable period of time. What would you call a reasonable period of time? It's not specific.
In the past, I think we looked at it on a case-by-case basis. Is that
Okay.
kind of sort of how we?
So you-
But because the FMLA, it's 12 weeks,
12
but then when you
weeks,
get into the Americans with Disability Act,
It's
you could
different.
extend that.
Mhm.
So then it becomes a case-by-case basis that you arrange with the employee before they go out.
Okay.
So you have a true understanding that both of you do on what the expected return date is.
So that language is left vague like that so that you can,
Fulfill this.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
case-by-case.
okay.
Best I understand it. I don't want to take Kathy's place.
That's the example.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Family Medical Leave Act dictates a certain period of time, and then the ADA.
And the other thing on page 15, and this is something I guess I'm gonna have to look at with my department heads, because I'm not sure if their rules are like that. For the jury duty part of it, where it says the employees authorized to keep any payment received for their services, and they're still paid for working for that day.
So what now? I'm
With the
missing
jury
it.
duty, they're still paid for being on the job for that day.
Yes.
But when they serve the jury duty, the little remuneration that they give them for serving jury duty, they are able to keep that. And I think we may have had one department that requires them to turn that in.
Some places have them turn it in, others don't. And
I
it's
know.
such a small amount.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I agree with this. I really do. So I got to have some conversation with our department heads. In the job that I worked in, that was always the case. You kept your remuneration, and you were not counted absent that day. So
Oh, but this is
So we-
duty, civic duty.
yeah, we want to do. In other
So
words,
you really don't have a question regarding?
not a question, just a
Okay,
comment.
Just a comment, okay.
We want to be consistent with what the requirement for utility employees and city employees. We kind of want to be consistent with that.
Just go ahead and
Even
follow
though,
the leader.
even though y'all might, even
This
though
would be a-
even though y'all are the cash cow, we
Don't say that, man. Just let us work this out,
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
You're not Santa Claus. Okay.
edit that.
But we do want to have the best
Okay.
policy for
Yeah.
all of our.
All of our employees,
Yes,
right.
we want to make sure that we do that, and in a way
Right.
that we can correlate what we do in terms of personnel policy, that we
That's
have
right.
to share. But I think that most places don't take that check from the jury.
Yeah,
They just leave that with the,
Right, they don't do it.
no, I've never known.
Tiny amount.
No,
Like 25.
It's not even lunch money in some
Yeah,
places, you know.
that's right.
No, I don't think we would bother ourselves with trying to take that. All right? All right. If there are no further questions or comments regarding the personnel policy revisions, we will ask for a motion to adopt.
I got one more quick question.
Okay, Bob?
You mentioned the attorney had received a copy of this.
Yes.
Has he commented about it?
He has not commented to us about it. He did receive it, and he said he was going to be reviewing it.
I guess if he has some concerns about it, we can deal with it later, but.
He will.
He will. He will.
He
He will let us
started
know.
looking at it last Friday.
In fact, he did tell me that if he had any concerns or questions or issues regarding it, he would let us know. But in
He's
the
not
meantime-
bashful. He,
Oh, no.
Well, here's the thing also on that. If there are revisions that need to be made or something of that nature, you could go back behind the fact and take action to revise that. And the other thing is, and I'm sorry to say this the way I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna have to say it. The attorneys recommend things to us. It's our job to decide whether we want to accept that recommendation or whether we want to go on and vote and pass what we're going to pass. Now, I was told when I was on the council that I'd be crazy to go against my city attorney. Somebody said that. Well, sometimes I do go against my city attorney. Sometimes I do, because there are, Craig and I talked about sometimes there's black and white, and then sometimes there's some gray area. And sometimes you have to deal in the gray. And so that's when you accept the recommendation and say, thank you, but we're going forward. That's, but that can be revised a little bit later.
and Joel is aware that we're going to take a vote on this today.
As a matter of fact, he specifically asked me when we talked, I believe it was Friday, if I thought we would take a vote, and I said, I'm not really sure, but I know that it's in all of our hands. We've had sufficient time to review it, and either way, it's okay, as far as our taking a vote at this time.
That being said, I make a motion that we approve the revisions in our personnel policy.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we will accept the recommendations of staff on the personnel policy revisions. Are there any questions, or is there further discussion regarding this motion? If not, then I call for a vote. Do you have questions?
I mean,
Okay.
just got something in my eye.
Oh, okay. Then I call for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the recommendations of the personnel policy revisions, let it be known by show of hands. All right, it's unanimous. We will accept it and move forward. The next item on the agenda is job descriptions. Do you have any comments from staff on the job descriptions?
We do need to add one thing since the last meeting. These were, I think, presented before as hourly positions. Is that correct? Correct. And they're actually salary positions, not, they're going to be paid hourly. That's something to change.
Okay. All right, we've heard from our general manager that the job descriptions will not be hourly positions, but they will be salaried positions. Do we have any questions or comments regarding that?
I guess I do. Are they now hourly, or are they now salary?
These are
Or corresponding? I know these are new, but the corresponding ones that we have in place now.
well, I don't know if we really have anything that we corresponded. because this is gonna be a new level as we work to reorganize the water department. And with the level of responsibility that these folks would have would be very different to what you'd see some of our superintendents have, and that's the reason for making salary positions versus hourly.
So does that mean this person is on call all the time? 24/7?
Yeah,
Without overtime?
Yes, that's an expectation, they'd be just like a superintendent, or myself, or one of these managers in the.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Further comments? Then I call for your pleasure on the job descriptions being proposed as salaried positions as a part of the new reorganization plan.
I move to approve.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we will approve the recommended job descriptions as salaried positions. If there's no further question or discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor of this recommendation, let it be known by show of hands. All right, it's unanimous. At this time, I need for us to get a motion. We have an executive session scheduled. I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. For personnel reasons.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we will go into executive session for personnel matters to be discussed. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. All right, it's unanimous.